Hello all, welcome to the new Simply Put series by Kalam IAS Academy. This is Priyanka Mahapatra, faculty at Kalam IAS. So today we'll be having a discussion on the newspaper dated 4th January 2024. So the text and the context section of the Hindu newspaper was having two articles very important, that is Peace Pact with ULFA and Upskilling Necessary for the Rural Youth, Why and How. Then coming to the explain section of the Indian Express newspaper, two articles were important similarly about the DBT and second about the VVPATs. Okay, so these are the four articles we are going to discuss today, which are displayed on your screen. So the first article is about that why do politicians they rush to give direct benefits or cash to the poor. So this is in context to the 2024 general elections. So many political parties they're coming up with their own agenda of giving many freebies to the poor, many direct benefits to the poor in order to lure their electorate. Similarly, Indian National Congress Party it has reportedly reintroduced the Nyaya scheme, that is Nyuntam Aay Yojana, which was a key element already in their 2019 manifesto, and again they have come up with that scheme where they are promising to give an annual amount of rupees 60,000 to 70,000 to the women. So here the debate has arisen again that is there a need to give freebies to the poor? Okay, are freebies justified? So in this very article, you will get a different perspective. You will find arguments for giving direct benefits or cash to the poor through a book review. Okay, so let's now see. So there are some basic questions posed in the process of giving freebies to the poor. First is about the cash transfers. Are they productive really to the poverty alleviation process? Are they meeting the demand of alleviating the poverty for all times in the longer run? Are these doles or freebies which we are giving, they are to be given permanently or there should be a sunset clause where it has to be ended? Okay, and how do we measure that? After what time it should be ended? Have they worked elsewhere? Can a country such as India, which is still in the development phase, can it afford them? And is it necessary? Is it better now to put certain conditions on such transfers? Because if we start giving to every woman of this country or every man of this country, then that is a huge budgetary constraint. So we should be putting some conditions on such transfers. Okay, so these are the main questions posed. So now a basic question must be arising in your mind that what is the difference between the universal basic income which we are talking about, which is the talk of the town, and the targeted schemes. And the targeted schemes like PM Kisan, PM Fasal Bima Yojana, which is allowing certain cash transfers or direct benefit transfers. So the first difference is that whenever UBI is coming into picture, it is accompanied by the removal of all other existing subsidy schemes. But when Nyay or PM Kisan is operational, then it is running parallel to many other such schemes which is allowing the cash transfers as it is happening now. PM Kisan, PM Fasal Bima Yojana, they are all running parallelly. We are not denying that this scheme, direct benefit transfer, should be stopped for another scheme. Okay, but when UBI is operational, that is the universal basic income, which is promising certain income to be given to each and every citizen of India, then all other existing subsidy schemes should be stopped. Okay, so it is not that if the poor or the farmers will be deprived of other social welfare schemes if they enjoy the DBT through PM Kisan or PM Fasal Yojana. If they're enjoying the DBT, then other schemes also run parallelly, right? Second difference is that the amount given under these targeted schemes like PM Kisan Yojana or PM Fasal Bima Yojana, they're much smaller than the UBI. They're much smaller than what anyone can consider to be a minimum or basic income that everyone would need to live a decent life. Lastly, the scope of these DBT schemes is limited to a certain section of Indians. They are very targeted schemes. That means PM Kisan Yojana is for the farmers only. They are not for the business class people. Okay, so they are targeted schemes, they are not universal ones. Under the UBI, the government gives a basic income to each and every citizen of the country, from the richest to the poorest ones. So it is kind of universal scheme. But here there is a need that government has to roll back all types of subsidies, from food to fertilizer to train tickets to medical bills to health expenditures. All other subsidies has to be stopped when UBI is operational in India. But that is not the case with the targeted scheme. So this is the basic difference between the DBT schemes and the UBI. You should be very clear. Then why UBI has not been rolled out when it is promising certain amount of money to each and every citizen of India? So basically because of the affordability issue. You can take the case of Switzerland, where the scheme of UBI was rolled back because of this affordability issue. Again, removal of existing subsidies which are given to the certain sections of people particularly, and they are enjoying. So removal of such schemes, subsidies, will be almost inviting political backlash. It can also lead to end of political careers of some politicians. Okay, so these are the major two issues where UBI and why UBI has not been rolled out in India. So we all know now that why politicians, they are persisting with the freebies or the direct benefit cash transfers in various forms, in the form of income support via NREGA, in the form of subsidized food via National Food Security Act, in the form of direct benefit transfers or income support through PM Kisan. In fact, it is the world's largest direct benefit transfer scheme for the farmers, where it has involved income support of rupees 6,000 per year in 3 equal installment to all the land holding farmer families. Very, very important for your prelims. So this is how the politicians, they are persisting with the cash transfers in every elections and every year. So now the important question arises that is it good to give freebies to the poor? Is it justified to give freebies to the poor, cash to the poor? This is in contrary to the popular view among the economists, popular thought process of the economist, that they are against giving freebies to the poor, because that will not teach them for the lifetime to be independent. They will be always dependent on some freebies from any other political party. So there goes a popular saying, if you give a man a fish, if you give, then you feed him for the day. You only feed him for a day. You're not making him independent. How you can make him independent? By teaching a man to fish. If you teach a man to fish, then you feed him for a lifetime. So this is in line with the capability approach of Dr. Amartya Sen, where he says that a person, an individual, should be empowered. Okay, so in the first case, we can give some freebies, but not in the longer run. They should be stopped once the people or the individual or the class of people, they are empowered. Freebies are not meant to be forever, because if you continue giving freebies, continue giving the man a fish, then you are only feeding him, not teaching him to be independent. Right? But there are some scenarios where man is too hungry on the first day to learn anything. Okay, the man is too hungry on the first day to learn anything. He has no time to learn. He only needs food. What if he is so weak and feeble that he needs to be fed for the few days before he can summon up enough strength to learn? What if the choice is given between feeding him a fish today and ensuring that he lives for another day to learn fishing, or risking his life and ability to learn fishing tomorrow? So these are the questions which are posed, that is it very necessary to teach a man from the first day, or from first day we should be giving him certain freebies in order to strengthen him, in order to make him stand, in order to make him capable to learn. So this is a different perspective you should be knowing whenever any essay or any answer is coming about the capability approach, or any arguments you are making for and against giving doles. So here you will get all the arguments in favor of giving doles or minimum income to the citizens or the people. That means it is favoring the giving of fish to the man before insisting that he learns how to fish. Because a weak man cannot really learn on an empty stomach. So the radical policy solution has been always that give a man a fish, give freebies to the people. Okay, so you can talk of a book review in order to support your argument. This is a book review. You can quote it in your essay writing or answer writing. That is, just give money to the poor, the development revolution from the global south. Okay, so where the book is saying about the 4 paradigm shifts in thinking about the poor and about the well-being of the vulnerable. So these are the 4 paradigms which the author is talking about, taking the reference of England. So in 16th century England, when the government for the first time accepted that it is the collective responsibility for ensuring the minimum, the subsistence for all. Then in the late 19th century Europe, the social spending increased, where many benefits were given in the name of pensions, in the name of old age insurance, in the name of sickness. Then in the mid 20th century, what happened? After getting such support from the government, a adequate standard of living became a human right. It was possible during that time to have an adequate standard of living. Okay, and the rich North accepted the responsibility towards the poor South. Okay, then at the beginning of 21st century, the countries of the global south, they took lead in construing cash transfers as a right and in using them as a way to end poverty and promote development. So they realized that cash transfers, they are a right, they are a human right, and they should be used to end poverty and promote development. So these are the 4 paradigms which the author has talked about in order to justify giving minimum income or giving doles to the people. So from the example, from the reference of the book, now we have realized that sometimes simply giving money to the poor will help. When we are giving money to the poor with no strings attached, no conditions attached, that may be the most promising approach to lift them out of the poverty. And therefore, it will lead to long-term development as well. How? Because they will find their own effective ways to escape from the poverty. Because see, the biggest problem with them, with those people below the poverty line, is that they lack cash. The basic amount of cash they lack. Many people, they have so little money that they cannot afford small expenditures on better food, sending children to school, or searching for work. They cannot afford that. So, do you think it is a lack of motivation? No. They have little money to spend days actively trying to find a work for them, actively trying a way out of poverty. Sometimes it is not the lack of knowledge. They know what they need and manage their money extremely well. Only thing we need to help out is to give them a basic cash in their hand. So instead of finding ways how to help the poor through many schemes, many subsidy schemes, many health schemes, so we should be directly giving the cash. Because transfers, they can create a virtuous development cycle in the country. How? Because families with such assured money begin to take small risks by investing in their future, by sending their children to school, by investing on better food. For example, farmers can buy better seeds to try to increase farm production instead of giving electricity subsidies. When they have direct cash in their hand, they will try buying better seeds to try to increase their farm production. Okay, they can also think of purchasing goods that can be resold locally. even spending more time looking for better jobs. That is how they are helping the local economy to grow as well. Okay, so it's a win-win situation for all. So it's not the case that freebies or direct cash giving is always bad. Giving doles is sometimes good also. We have seen in the case of Mexico, South Africa, Namibia, Brazil, Indonesia, and in case of Narega, India, where cash transfers have actually helped. So now the opposite question arises, that will it make people lazy? Will giving direct cash make people lazy? In many cases, the answer is no. Because little money with them, it will not make them lazy or reluctant to work. Rather, it will be a help to them. Rather, it can build their foundation for life. It can enable the people to transform their own lives. They will come out of the poverty trap model, which in development jargon we talk about. What is this poverty trap model? When many people, they are trapped in poverty only because they have so little money that they cannot afford the things they want to buy. They need actually, for example, medicine, school books, food, fertilizer, seeds. So they are in a hole with no way to climb out, and the cash transfers here can provide a ladder to them to transform their lives. So this is the main argument behind giving doles or minimum income to the people. So this is the other side of the story, which many people would have not known, would have not thought about it. By the popular arguments, we go by giving arguments only against the minimum income or the freebies to the poor. But sometimes freebies to the poor can actually help, right? But again, there must be guiding principles according to the author when we are giving cash to the poor. First is it should be fair. The distribution of cash should be fair. It should be assured. It is not like this month we are getting, after 6 months again we are getting. It should be assured in every month or assured every year. Whichever term we are following, it should be predictable, it should be certain, it should be assured. Then it should be practical at the same time. So the civil service and the banking infrastructures that are involved in rolling out cash to the people, that infrastructure must be sufficient to administer the program. Then the cash payment should not be very little. It should be large enough to make a big difference in their lives. It should not be in the form of pennies. Okay. And the programs must be politically acceptable. It must be popular. It must be having consent of the people. Right? So these are the 5 guiding principles which the author has talked about while giving cash to the people. So remember, with every kind of dole we are giving, there must be certain safeguards also. So these are the safeguards. Right? Then we come to the second article, that is about VVPATs. Why Jairam Ramesh written to Election Commission about them recently. So they have called for 100% verification of the VVPAT slips. So before starting the discussion, you should be knowing what is VVPAT machine. This is important from your prelims perspective. So VVPAT machine, that means voter verifiable paper audit trail. It is attached to the BU of the EVM, ballot unit of the EVM, where it is just a slip of paper with the voter's choice indicated on it. But again, the printed slip is not given to the voter. It is only visible for 7 seconds behind the glass, as you can see in the figure, where the voter can only see, they cannot touch the slip. They can see that the vote has been recorded correctly. So the basic aim here is to bring transparency or to enhance the free and fair election process. And then the slip falls into a box underneath. Okay? So it is kind of a feedback method to the voters using EVM. It is intended as an independent verification system for voting machines designed to allow voters to verify that their vote was casted correctly. Okay, so this is all about the VVPAT. Again, the candidate serial number is displayed. The slip, what does it contain? This is important for your prelims exam. The serial number is written, then the name of candidate and the corresponding symbol. So the VVPAT paper roll, it is designed to print 1500 ballot slips for each election. Okay, so these are all facts you need to remember. Again, this printer thing, or the VBPAT through the printer, it was all brought in 2013 through an amendment to the Conduct of Election Rules 1961. You need to remember from the prelims point of view. Okay, and it is the first time in the Noksin Assembly constituency in Nagaland that it was used. Okay, in 2013 in Nagaland. Then in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, it was first used where 100% EVMs were attached to VVPATs. Okay. So now coming to the main discussion, why Jairam Ramesh is calling for the 100% verification of the VVPAT slips. How much percentage are we counting as of now? So from February 2018, it is only one randomly selected polling station where the counting of VVPAT slips is done per assembly constituency. So from 2018 onwards, it is mandated that the counting of VVPAT slips has to be done for one randomly selected polling station per constituency. Then in 2019, following the Supreme Court judgment, because of the petition filed by Chandrababu Naidu, it was increased to 5 polling stations per assembly seat or per assembly constituency. But now Jairam Ramesh is talking about, is calling for 100% verification of the VVPAT slips, which is again a logistical issue. So there has been a demand that there should be 100% counting of the slips, which will restore the full confidence of the people in free and fair election. Again, the second demand is that instead of VVPAT slip falling into the box, it should be handed over to the voter. We just studied that the slip is only visible to the voter under the glass. Now, the demand is that it should be handed over to the voter who will place that slip in a separate ballot box after verifying his or her choice. So these are the two demands from the opposition party. So the stand of Election Commission has been very clear that it is well above the Indian Statistical Institute's recommendation of 479 EVM VVPAT systems. Now the rule after 2019 says that we have to go for the 5 randomly selected polling stations for the verification, right? Which is coming to 20,600 EVM VVPAT systems, which is well above the recommendation of 479 systems. Again, whatever complaints has been done so far with the VVPAT system, they have all been found to be false. Okay, so we have received around 25 complaints out of 118 crore voters who have casted their votes since the introduction of VVPATs in 2017, and all the complaints are found to be false. And pressing for 100% verification was a regressive thought and tantamount to going back to the days of manual voting using ballot system, the EC has said. So the manual counting of all the VVPAT slips, it will take time and it has the potential of human error as well. Okay, so that is what the stand of Election Commission has been towards the 100% verification of the VVPATs. So these arguments you can easily write in your answer writing whenever you are answering any question regard to the free and fair elections and what is the role of Election Commission in conducting free and fair elections in India, right? So you can make the arguments by stating its stand. Okay, so now we will discuss some advantages and disadvantages of VVPAT so far. You need to know from your mains point of view. If you're getting any question in your state service exam or UPSC, any random question you can get. Okay, so we have discussed already that VVPAT, it will pose greater transparency in the voting process. It will enable to verify the vote, okay, by giving instant feedback to the voter. Then again, it operates under a direct recording election system where it can detect any fraud or existing malfunctions. Then what are the issues? It happens with every other electronic device. There can be technological glitches. There can be malfunctioning due to extreme weather conditions and sensitivity to the light. There can be paper jamming. There can be running of ink, running out of battery. Okay, and then this paper trail can add cost to the election process. Then there are storage concerns as well. So these are the basic issues with the VVPAT trail. Then what is the way ahead? So whenever you are discussing any challenges, then you have to write the way ahead always. Okay, so here you have to conclude that the introduction of VVPAT is always an appreciated move because the Supreme Court has upheld the introduction of VVPAT. However, the lacuna which we discussed about the technology, that should be immediately addressed. For example, making it independent of battery, including the usage of sustainable inks, reducing the sensitivity to heat and light, then about the capacity building, about the employment proper training of workforce to manage any errors and technological snags right there, okay, right at the spot. Okay, so these points you can make it in the way ahead of the VVPATs. So this was all about the discussion on VVPATs. Then coming to the upskilling, why it is necessary for the rural youth. So why this is in news? Because in a recent discussion held by Life Skills Collaborative, most of the rural youth, when questioned about their aspirations for the future, they said that they preferred staying in their village. Okay. Now we all know that farming has always been a major source of rural income, but now there has been seen a major occupational shift. With more farmers, they're quitting their agricultural jobs to join non-farming jobs because of the agrarian crisis. So there comes the importance of upskilling for the rural youth. Because recently you saw that in the conference that how rural youth are aspiring to stay in their rural setting only because of the prevalent trend of urbanization, because of the own challenges of the urban setting, because of the poor living standard they are facing in the urban setting. By 2047, almost 50% of the Indian population would be staying in the urban areas. So you imagine the kind of pressure on the cities. So it's better that the rural youth they stay in their setting, in their rural areas and find employment avenues. So for that, there is a need to upskill them. Again, another reason of skilling them is agrarian crisis. According to National Sample Survey Office data, 34 million farmers they are leaving their farms and transitioning to the other sectors like construction during 2004-5 to 2011-12. And the children from many rural families they're supplementing their family's income by working on the family owned farms. Okay, so it is kind of waste of labor there. It's a disguised unemployment happening there. So it is another reason why we should upskill the rural youth. We should reap the benefits of the demographic dividend. Again, 93% of youth they haven't received any vocational training in 2017-18. So we know the level of the extent of the poor state of vocational training in the rural areas. So making agriculture an aspiring vocation among the rural youth and creating alternative employment opportunities, both are important in the rural setting. Okay. So we can only control the migration, we can only control the out migration by giving vocational training to the students, by imbibing them relevant rural skills so that they can secure a living wherever they are. Okay, because the choices are very limited in the rural areas. So we need to bring the rural uh, skill development schemes or the skill development initiatives to the students' doorsteps. We can follow the model of Delhi government skill on wheel initiative. You can write this model as a case study where the initiatives they are brought to students' doorsteps. And again, the current vocational education opportunity is in the sorry state of affair. The industrial training institutes are there to upskill, but with little or no placement opportunities. Again, the rural education, they're scarcely focusing on the skill development in the rural schools. So we cannot rely on the schools to learn the life skills in the rural setting. Then what is to be done in such a scenario? what is to be done in such a sorry state of affair? First is that we can integrate the technical as well as life skills with the formal education in the schools. We can integrate tailoring, embroidery, account management, beautician courses, electrician, hardware, with a duration between 3 to 6 months within the school itself, and that should be available free of cost. We can follow certain international models here. You can note these international models. This will fetch you more marks. So it is talking about the Mexico's tele schools or Bhutan's well-being infused curriculum, where there is a higher level of access to the value-based secondary education in the remote areas, where the secondary schools are very less in the rural setting. Then we can also talk of the hybrid life skilling programs that are being offered by the NIIT in collaboration with the UNICEF through its self-learning platform. We can collaborate with the international NGOs as well. Then Pratham also, which is an NGO again, it offers courses in both industry specific skills like healthcare, electrical, construction and life skills. Okay, so how the government can collaborate with the civil society or the NGO to impart the skill initiatives. Okay, we can talk of Tiruchi Talents Initiative also. This is also a model where the district level departments, they are to identify school and college dropouts and the unemployed youth in all village panchayats of the district to improve their quality of life by imparting the skill development training through short-term courses, so that they easily can go for employment opportunities, because they do not have patience to wait for 3-4 years to complete their education. Neither they have such a luxury of sitting down for studies, because they have to earn for their families, for themselves. So Tiruchi Talents Initiative can be a model. Okay, so this is how the rural India can boost the employability in both the traditional and non-traditional trades, leading to a vibrant economy. So this is how you should be writing an answer, with the challenges, with a way ahead, with a conclusion. Right? And you can keep note of these models, the international models, the national models, the case studies. You can quote it anywhere regarding the employment, regarding your answer in employment or rural employment, rural empowerment. Those like keywords can help you. Let's now come to the fourth article, that is understanding the peace pact with the ULFA. So this article is important from your GS paper 3 perspective in the internal security, where you need to study about the insurgent groups in the Northeast. Okay, so this article provides you a very historical context about the 44-year insurgency that has been happening, led by the United Liberation Front of Assam. And they have been fighting for an independent Assamese state. So here the article is tracing from the roots of ULFA formation in 1979 to the various anxieties among the indigenous Assamese people about their culture, identity being threatened by the waves of migrants. The migrants had been coming there for the tea, oil, coal interest, because it was rich in tea, oil and coal in the Assam. Okay, on December 30th, that is 2023, a pro-talk ULFA faction, because there are two factions again. Some factions, they are against any talks with the government, but some factions, they are interested to have a peace agreement. Similarly, a pro-talk ULFA faction, they have signed a historic peace deal with the Indian and Assam governments. So we'll see to that agreement tomorrow, when more articles will be coming on that talks. So tomorrow we will be covering this peace pact very elaboratively. Okay, so this was all about today's discussion. The short notes of this video will be provided in our Telegram channel, that is Kalam IAS Academy. The link for joining the Telegram channel will be provided in the description box. And do join us. Until then, goodbye, take care and happy learning. Thank you so much.